Hello, my name's Niranjan, the host of Master of Your Crafts podcast, learning from leaders who are continuously inspired, passionate, and driven to align with their soul purpose, sharing their gifts to bring healing to others. The music is composed by Rebecca Everett. Today is episode number 127, and I'll be talking to Michelle Manning-Kogler, an author of Quantum Soul Clearing, Healing the Scars Life Leaves on a Soul, and the contributing author of Pearls of Wisdom, 30 Inspirational Ideas to Live Your Best Life Now. With Jack Canfield, Robert Evans, and 27 other top thought leaders of personal change. She is the founder and trainer of Quantum Soul Clearing Process. She has been in the alternative health and wellness field for over 25 years. She is an international renowned life coach, distant energy healer, medical intuitive, bioenergetic practitioner, and motivational speaker. Michelle's personal story journey of healing from the devastating diagnosis of crippling rheumatoid arthritis sent her in a search of answers of optimal health. That search included years of self-introspection, research, and education and training, and have equipped her with the necessary knowledge and skills to show others how diet, lifestyle, moderation, and alternative healing modalities can repair and heal the body. She now creates customized whole life health and wellness programs to help others achieve their optimal health goals. Michelle is the founder of Quantum Soul Clearing Process. She is an ordained minister, a certified brain gym practitioner, a certified experiential kinesiologist, a certified spiritual response therapy practitioner and teacher, a certified bioenergetic practitioner and homeopathy. She began her healing career as a licensed massage therapist with a specialization in trigger point release. She has extensive training in nutrition and herbal medicine. I trust that you will garner some wisdom from this conversation with Michelle and be able to apply it to your own life as it unfolds and as you garner the mastery of your own skills of who you are today. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome to Michelle. How are you doing, Michelle?
I am so good today. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Niranjan. I'm just like, oh, so honored.
Well, likewise, this is such a delight for me because we do somewhat similar work, or we play in the similar kind of realms. So I'm curious and I'm excited to get into your story and get into your skills and tools and all the other delicious experiences we have, which don't feel delicious at that moment.
No, they don't.
But we know that they are, and I'm curious to kind of unravel some of those and get into it if you're ready to do that.
I am. Let's play.
Let's play, exactly. So the first big question is, what do you believe about yourself? And does it define who Michelle is at this moment of time?
That is such a great question.
It's
You
a
know,
big.
I struggled with who I really am for a big chunk of my life, especially my early adulthood. Over the last probably 10 years, I have stepped more into who I am. But even then, it's been a little daunting to claim, hey, here I
Mm,
am, all of me.
nice.
And I was born with so many really powerful intuitive gifts that were never accepted by the little very fundamentalist community that I grew up in. And so I learned from an early age to really shut off the bigger part of myself and to judge based on those judgments that were directed at me, to judge that in some way I was defective. And so stepping into the true power of who I am and how I'm here to show up in the world at this time and with the people that I'm here to serve has really been an interesting journey. And it's taken a lot of personal work that I also do with my clients, but also going deep within to really understand what I'm here to do and how I'm here to do it and why I'm here to do it. So, yeah, great question.
Thank you. Thank you. So with all of that, can you, it's a sliding scale, right? As
Yeah.
we unwrap and as we go through life and we fit into that comfort level and embracing and acceptance and all of those pieces,
Yeah.
we learn more about who we are. So with that, what do you feel is perhaps at this juncture of your life is a calling that you have and that really put you into doing what you do in this quantum clearing, soul clearing work that you do?
Yeah. Thank you. You know, that's the question a slightly different way. Ask me again.
Ask you again, in what do you believe is your calling at this moment of time?
Honestly, I believe my calling at this time is to really assist people who are ready to take a bigger stage in the world to show up with their brilliance and their genius in a way that is incredibly courageous and to play full out. All of us have a unique genius, a unique brilliance that we were born with, all of us. And it doesn't matter what walk of life you're from, all of us have something very, very special. And, you know, even the word genius has been narrowed down to this tiny definition that you have to somehow have, you know, a massive IQ or, you know, have something profound to share with the world. Right. But I believe we all do. I believe we all have some form of genius that is profound. And the way that we look at the world and the way that we interact with the world is so important right now. We're at this massive change in human history and human evolution. And as we show up with our gifts and our talents and who we really are as divine source beings, as well as humans, and, you know, everything that we're bringing to the table, it can be daunting. It can feel a little scary to go, hey, hi, honey, I'm home. Here I am.
That's right. That's right.
And to really feel safe enough to do that. We've all had history, generationally, we've had history of you know, very unpleasant experiences where when we have stepped up and stepped forward, it hasn't ended well. You know, we have to do a look at some of the masters that were
exactly
that didn't end well. So, you know, we take that in and it limits how we feel safe enough to show up. And my work is helping leaders and entrepreneurs and businesses show up in such new, profound ways that they get their message across. They get to play full out rather than feeling like they have to hang back.
Yeah. And what a gift that is, that you get to witness that and you get to be part of it, but also step into those beautiful gifts that you had when you was a child and enhance them and enhance them and enhance them and truly step into it. So what a gift that you get to do that.
It is. It's kind of this double win.
A double win. I like that. Yes, exactly. It really is. What do you feel are some of the attributes that connect you to this gift? Because we've all had a lifetime and a half on this planet, be it through relationship, experiences, stories, parenting, and the community, and all of those pieces in between. But the silver thread is listening to that soul calling and acting on it and doing what we need to do to embody it and embrace it and be of greater service. what were the attributes, or what are the attributes that you hone in on for yourself that connect you to this is what I'm here to do and this is how I'm doing it?
I think for me, it's really connecting, reconnecting, embodying the unique gifts that I was given. So I see, sense, feel, hear, know. I have all of the intuitive
Of course,
gifts
of course.
that I was born with and that I, was bullied for and put away because it wasn't safe. And I had no mentor. I had nobody to tell me, this is what you're experiencing. How are you doing it? I even
Mhm.
remember being about 5 years old and asking my mom, what are those colors? And I didn't have a word for it. So I used the word lights, and this moment on her face.
Ooh.
And she said, to her credit, I mean, she was a teacher. She was extraordinary in her own right. But she said, you mean like when you look at a light bulb and then look away and there's that
Yeah.
after? And I said,
Ah.
no. And I realized
Mm.
in that moment, she really had no idea what I was talking about.
Right.
And it wasn't until I was a teenager when I think it was Life came out with Curly photography.
Mm.
And a boyfriend of mine was like, oh my gosh, look how cool this technology is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm seeing. And he looks at me and he says, you can't see those.
Mm.
Actually, yes, I can. But I didn't know what it was. I didn't have a name for it.
Yeah.
So when I work with people, I get to see what's happening in their physical body and their energy fields. I get to see past and present and future lifetimes and
Wow.
existences. I get to see what's happening ancestrally, back
Mm.
sometimes 2, 3, 400
Mm.
generations back.
Mm.
And look at the programming that gets passed down in our
Mm.
DNA, that gets
Yeah.
passed down socially and societally. And it's a lot of information. And as a kid, I had zero idea
Mm.
what to do with that. I
Mhm.
didn't have any context for it. It constantly got me in trouble. I would respond to other
I did.
people's thoughts, and the adults really don't like that very well.
I
So
can
again,
only
I was always
imagine.
in trouble. And
Yeah.
I laugh now.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
But stepping into those gifts in service, I
Mhm.
think, has been such a game changer for me,
Mhm.
because it allows an outlet for this life force energy that is part of who I am, that
Mhm.
I brought into this lifetime to help in this transition of human evolution right now. And
Beautiful.
to me, that is, I get chills just thinking about it.
Yeah,
I just,
yeah, I
it
do.
just makes me feel like I have a place, like
Mhm.
I have a purpose, and everybody has a purpose.
Absolutely.
And when I look at my human design and my gene keys and everything, it's like, oh, there it is, there it is.
It's so interesting how when we're on this journey, we need that external left brain validation, I guess, to a certain degree of, oh yeah, yeah, that is. And then it settles with us and it settles in our heart and beingness, and we just relax and go, oh, okay, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yes.
Be it just even a little reminder, a little nudge, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's an important one, I think, for all of us. So I guess perhaps I commend those who do, like you do. I touch on human design a
You
little
do
bit with
too.
my clients, but I know you go way more in depth and other modalities too. So
Yeah.
hats off to those who created it.
Thank you. I, my sense, and as I've worked with hundreds of people from around the world,
Mhm.
I get to see that true essence of who they are, that
Mhm.
brilliance and that genius and the gifts and the unique ways that people look at the world, and how they're here to change the narratives
Mhm.
in big ways and small ways, not always socially acceptable ways, because we get stuck in this rut,
That's
as
right.
humans. And um yeah, so I find myself wanting to pontificate, but that's another story altogether.
Mhm.
So, but what I love most is watching as the light comes on. It's like this aha moment,
Yeah.
and watching as they just blossom and flower and express this amazing essence of who they are so courageously and so powerfully in the world. And it's like it changes everything. It's really special.
It really is. And how beautiful is it that you get to witness it? And you've honed those gifts. You've honed that, I don't want to say talent because it makes it, diminishes it, really honing that insight and awareness and reactivating it all for you because you've had it obviously for many lifetimes and you're just bringing it back online here, that you get to witness it for others and guide them through that process. I think that's such a beautiful gift because we're not all there.
You know what? Yes, and I also believe that we're closer than we've ever been. And it's just
Oh
that
my God.
little bit of nurturing that
Yeah.
brings in something so unique.
Yeah.
We talk about purpose kind of cliche almost anymore. What's your purpose in life? What's this? What's that? And we all have this unique purpose. And I've said before, and I say it again, we have all come together in this time and place in human history to make a difference. We're we you know we're in a spiritual battle that
Yeah.
most people have no idea we're even in,
That's right.
let alone knowing how to actually
Get
show up and win it. So
true.
what I love the most though is seeing as people really come online and use their unique gifts and talents, because they have some that I just don't have.
Yes.
And being able to support that extraordinary, and again, I use the word essence of who they are as this profound spiritual being living in these human bodies is truly breathtaking.
Yeah.
There's nothing more satisfying to me
Yeah.
than seeing that.
Yeah. But the mastery of you holding that with all the gifts that you have is perhaps the true magic. And
Thank you.
absolutely the magic that you get to support others on.
It is magical. There's something beyond words that happens when two people come together in this type of collaboration that ignites this third, and maybe it's even more than that, but it ignites something really unique. It ignites this evolutionary process, not just in the individual, but how they show up in the collective. It gives permission for the collective to show up differently as well.
Absolutely.
We give lip service to understanding, we're all one. We have this connection and the collective this and the collective that. But the truth is, when you show up in your genius, your brilliance, your gifts, your talents, that true essence of who you are, it's a template. And it provides permission for those around you and everybody in the collective to show up in a completely different way also.
That's right.
And right now we have so much conflict on this planet that as we show up in that love and that compassion and in the true essence of who we are, it gives permission for the rest of the world to show up peacefully and powerfully without having to judge, without having to be in conflict. Because when we're secure in who we are, we can be secure in allowing others to be who they are as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it also gives people the opportunity, which is what I do, what I believe you do so beautifully, and many other people who tap into these untangible gifts, if you will. The feeling, the sensation, the embodiment, the expansion of their physical being on an energetic level. So they walk into a room with bigger poise, with bigger confidence. So with them doing it, it gives unconscious permission for others to do it. Because we've all been in those places and spaces where you walk in and you just want to walk back out.
Oh, yes. And listen to that.
Exactly, exactly. But imagine walking into every single space and place where you're met with this space, this welcome, this resonance of, I see you, I get you, let's go, let's do this.
And to expand on that even further, when you walk in the true frequency and resonance and essence of who you are, you can change that negative space
Absolutely.
and be that template for positivity in the world.
That's right.
And we've all walked into a room where it's like, ooh, this is really uncomfortable.
Mhm, mhm,
And so, quick story.
mhm.
Years ago, I was working for the phone company, and things were set up in a way that, unfortunately, customers got passed around and around and around and around. And by the time they would get to me, they would be enraged. I'd be like, well, you haven't
Ew.
spoken to me yet. Let me
Yes.
let's just take a minute. Let me see what I can do to help you. And I say, it just give me a minute to look and see what's happening. I think I can fix this for you. Well, within just a minute or less, we would be kind of, I don't want to say joking, but having this rapport, because I was willing to meet them where they're at
Sure.
and to resolve an issue. And I mean, literally, sometimes it took a minute and a half to fix the problem.
Mm,
Whereas, they had been passed around for 20 minutes,
mhm,
which is not okay in any way, shape, or form. But what I realized, and I had a really good friend who worked with me too, and she goes, how is it that you have so much fun where you're working? And I said, because I choose that. I
mm,
choose to make my day as powerful and as productive and as supportive of my customers as possible, because I don't want to be unhappy.
right.
So I think we can take this into our work day life. I know we can take it into our personal lives. And as an entrepreneur, how we show up, or as a business person, how we
Mm,
show up for our businesses and for our clients is so powerful. And having that mindset, which isn't always easy, believe me,
mm, mm, mm.
been there, done that.
That's right.
Um, I think we all have. But when we can take a narrative, when we take a feeling and recognize it doesn't feel good, and then you say, what do I want to feel instead?
Yeah. Yeah.
And my quantum soul clearing process, which we really haven't talked about much, is a way to recognize, ooh, I'm feeling off today. I'm
Mhm,
this feeling doesn't feel good. How can I step into this? Acknowledge that I'm feeling this, because I believe our feelings are the way that spirit talks to us
mhm.
about if we're in resonance with who we really are
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
And when we recognize, yeah, something's off,
Right.
you can shift it in just a few minutes. It
That's
doesn't
right.
take very long. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
I agree. It's similar practice of
yeah.
we can easily get into a space of shiny object syndrome.
Oh gosh, yes.
Just like we talked about, we'll walk into a room, I don't like the feeling, and we walk back out. But the bigger question and opportunity is we stay in the room
Mhm.
and we look at what it is that's coming up that needs the attention, that needs the airtime, that needs that love, if you will,
Mhm.
of what is happening, in my experience at that moment of time. That's the gift. Not the
That is
gift,
the gift.
perhaps not the gift of how fast can I change it,
No,
but the gift of let me go through this experience, not literally bypass it and walk out of the room.
no, and that's spiritual bypassing, which is never effective, and it just leads to more suffering and heartache. When you can ask yourself the question, why am I so triggered? What is this bringing up for me? What does this mean for me?
Yeah.
Why am I feeling this way? And allowing yourself the time and the space and the spaciousness
Mhm.
to be with your emotions and your feelings and whatever comes up, because all of us have had some form
Right.
of negative experience, a trauma, as something
Yeah,
that somebody else's actions are going to trigger.
that's right.
It's why we're here.
That's right. Let's get with the program, people. It's supposed to be like this.
But spiritual bypassing and saying, oh, I'm just going to put a happy smile face on it isn't
Yeah.
effective.
No.
It just
No.
it delays the healing process. It
That's right.
delays that self-mastery process.
That's
And
right.
we're here to change. We're here to change the narrative. We really are.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're ultimately here to change and evolve as a soul on the planet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what and even if we look at it from the vantage point of being very self-centered, as the external narrative says, we
Mhm.
can only change us. So let's just focus on us and let's just change
Yeah.
us.
It hasn't been until the last probably 50 years or so that we've
Mm,
actually had the technologies, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual technologies to transform.
mm,
We've been stuck in talk therapy. We've been stuck in acceptance. This is my lot in life, whatever it is. And we were discouraged as humans to
mhm.
explore for whatever reason. And that's a whole different podcast.
It is, it is. Because I'm going to say there's maybe a little more than 50 years. How about a couple of decades and centuries? It's been there for a
Right.
while.
Well, no, I mean, it's been centuries of oppression and repression and
Yeah,
suppression of
yeah.
of who we are. But it's only been in the last probably 30, 40, 50 years that we've had spiritual or even emotional technologies to help us process
Possibly. Yeah.
the negativity or
Fair.
the traumas that we've experienced. I mean, for example, my grandfather was in World War I and came home
Mm.
with horrific PTSD that was never ever
Mm,
acknowledged.
true. Fair enough. Yeah.
And even World War II veterans and Vietnam veterans, Korean
Hmm.
veterans,
Hmm.
you know, my heart just aches for the suffering that has been passed down
Yeah.
because they had no way to process. There
Yeah.
was nothing to help them process
Yeah. Yeah.
except self-medication of some form, and that was usually not very effective.
That's
So
right. But then when we lean into this whole other aspect of it, we're all here for a purpose. You and I
yes.
have incarnated on this planet at this moment of time for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
So we're here for something very unique, and we
Mhm.
bring with us our good, bad, and ugly pieces along with us to
Mhm.
resolve and get through it. So while I can still say with a place of compassion and empathy that those individuals who didn't have the skills and the tools and the resources to be able to get through that were there for that specific
Absolutely.
reason.
Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
needed to go through that.
And some of the work that both you and I do goes back through the generations
Yeah,
to heal that and
sure.
transform that. Even though our ancestors aren't alive, we can go back and release that energy so that what's coming forward is
Sure.
different.
Yeah. And that's all part of the evolutionary process of not only the 8 billion souls on the planet, but
Yeah.
also the readiness of the vibrational frequency, the energy of the planet is more
Yes.
acceptable and ready to receive and to work through that process. So with the work that you do, because you go quite in depth with individuals on their
I do.
journey and on their path by looking at very different many modalities, be it the human design or the gene keys, or even just tuning in energetically using your gifts. What is ultimately your intentions with this beautiful craft that you have honed and poised so well?
That is such a great question. Many years ago, when I started doing this work professionally, probably about 30 some odd years ago, I had this awareness that this lifetime, as we connect in, and it is part of my quantum soul clearing process. It's the first step in 4 steps of the process. As we connect in with and as source,
Mm.
it gives us this window into eternity. It gives us this open access to all of the energies that are running in all lifetimes and existences and times, places, spaces, generationally, societally, which is a lot of information. And our highest self, our soul, has access to that information because it is that essence of God source. And so as we open this window and we create this, I'm going to use the word sacred, but as we create this powerful place to work and play and transform and transmute, then we have the ability to heal and clear up those open energies throughout all lifetimes and existences. And that's really what I teach my students. It's what I teach, the coaches that I've trained, is how to access all of this information, where it is, how it's kind of put together, and why it's important. Because some of those open energies are feeling addictions, they're feeling depression, they're feeling, all these negative experiences that we're having as humans. And it's like, why can't I get to this? Well, it's because it's not right here and right now. It's somewhere out there.
That's right.
And I think that's been the power of this process that was given to me, is the understanding of that window opening up to eternity, to all of the lifetimes and existences, so that we can get to that deeper healing. We can get to that powerful essence of who we are and align and become coherent in all of who we are.
Right. Beautiful. When did this, because I'm imagining this as a bigger scope and perspective of you now being able to bring it together, whereas perhaps it was just small slithers of this massive pie that you offer. When was that for you, that awareness of, oh, I've just got one slice of the pie. Oh, here's another piece. And when was that process, and what did that look like for you to say, okay, this makes sense, and I'm bringing this in, and I'm bringing this in?
I think the very first, it's not the first. It was probably one of the most powerful experiences. My first husband and I had just moved to Park City. My kids were very young; they're 4 and 7, and I had been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that was, it literally took me out overnight. But I was sitting there watching an Oprah special on lupus, and I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't exactly resonate, but it kind of does, and blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to go pick up my kids. Daycare's over, school's over. I'm running late, and I jammed my feet in my shoes, in these new tennis shoes, and kind of cranked down on them. Now, as a kid, I could not stand to have anything on my feet. I mean, didn't matter what time of year it was, the dead of winter, I was running barefoot because I couldn't stand anything touching my feet.
Right.
So I jam my feet in my shoes, and all of a sudden this hologram opens up on my left, and it's of me, and I could feel myself in this body of this old woman sitting on these stone steps somewhere in the Middle East with my feet wrapped in rags. And there was this moment. And then there's me as this small child over here in this right hologram going, get him off, get him off, get him off, get him off. I can't stand this. And then this voice that sometimes talks to me in my head, that has this ticker tape in the very back, says, there is a cure for this and you will find it. And everything just kind of collapsed. And I sat down on the couch for another minute going, wow, what was that? That was interesting. But what it made me really realize is that we exist and have existed in other lifetimes and existences, and especially in the religious structure that I grew up in, that was never a thing. And I had had glimpses of other lifetimes that I had been in, but I didn't have a context for it because of the teachings that I had picked up. This made me realize, oh, everything is happening in this now. It doesn't, we have this illusion of time and space and this linearness of our lifetimes and everything. And it's not accurate. It's absolutely not accurate. So that was kind of the beginning, and that was 1987. And I still didn't really have a construct for it. I didn't really have enough information. So fast forward to 2001, and I had moved to Colorado with my second husband and had gotten laid off from the phone company and ended up doing some alternative classes. It was just like, I don't want to do corporate anymore. There's something else calling me. And I had been taking all of these other energy medicine classes for years and years and years because Western medicine had just failed me. And in order to heal, I had to figure out something else completely.
Yeah.
So I was introduced to something called SRT, spiritual response therapy. And it was like, suddenly it was like the hub of a wheel that coalesced everything that I had ever learned, and it began to merge in this one unified whole. And it allowed me to really see the completeness of this pattern in which I had been drawing pieces in, but wasn't quite sure how the pattern fit. And suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, there I am. There's the answers that I've been looking for.
Wow.
Well, fast forward to 2007, and I'm like, okay, well, I love doing this work, and it's kind of tedious and it's time consuming, and there are 8 billion people on this planet, and how one at a time just isn't going to work for me. So, source, can you show me what this is about? And I would sit in meditation, and finally I heard it's about the emotions. It's about the feelings, because we don't create from our thoughts, we create from our feelings.
That's right.
And now the thoughts can affect our feelings, but it's the emotion that goes out and connects into the quantum field that changes and really creates a reality. And I thought, oh, okay. And that was when I was given this clearing process that actually each word represents an entire body of work. So, it's a collection of words that are like, oh, okay, well, that semi sort of kind of in a way makes sense. And what it really means is this, and it's libraries, it's volumes of information. And it's like this key code that opens up all of the dimensional access so that we can heal and clear in all of those times, places, and spaces.
Wow. So when all those dots connected for you, what was that moment like for you?
I was having, it was like, whoa, wait a minute. Is this really real? I had to sit with it for weeks because I thought, is this really true? Is this real? Is this, I'm not sure what to think about this. And, I tend to question myself all the time. Just, where am I at? Am I in balance? Is this true? Is this truth true? Or is this, something that's like, okay, whatever. And so I ended up sitting with this for, I want to say weeks, it's probably closer to months. And I started using this particular clearing technology with some of my clients, and I watched them shift, boom, instantaneously. And then I watched them shift back, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm missing something. What is it that I'm missing? And it wasn't until I went back to pre-med school and was in a biology class. And we were talking about mitochondria. And this team that I often work with shows up and they go, you want to talk about mitochondria? And I'm like, yes. And I have notes I need to take. So just, can you hang on a minute? No. You need to know this. Like, it's a timing issue. Stop. So I'm learning this from the professor, and I'm getting this download at the same time, and I'm laughing to myself. And, our mitochondria are extraordinary. And when I added that piece, and then, the bacteria, fungi, and viruses that make up 80 some odd % of who we are as a human being, and we clear all of that along with what's in the DNA and the quote junk or extraneous DNA or whatever you call it. It shifts everything. It really does. And I think what it made me realize is how much more we are than what we've ever been taught, and how much potential there is as a human being to really step into so much greater expression and
Right.
beingness than we've ever been taught.
Absolutely. So beautiful how you are connecting the dots and you're following your intuition and your gifts, and you're bringing them online, of putting them all together and being able to support individuals and teach others on how to do this. But my question here is how interesting it is that you went to such cellular level in terms of the mitochondria. And I say that very specifically because in the work that I do it from an atom and from a atom level. But yours, that mitochondria bit is really specific in what you want to turn over. Is that indicative of the evolution of where we are on this planet and the be it the Schumann resonance, but that growth and expansion of Mother Earth? Is it indicative of that, coupled with the whole AI and the other influence from other
Yeah.
planets and species?
Well, to be clear, I also go down to the subatomic particles all the way down to
Okay.
the units and before. But
Right.
mitochondria were really fascinating to me. I was introduced to mitochondria in fourth grade with Madeline Engel's books, which was
Okay.
fascinating. And even as an adult, if you haven't read her books, you need to, because they're activator books. They're fabulous. And she's, long since passed away. Mitochondria, though, we only get our mitochondria from our mothers. We don't get any from our fathers.
Oh
And
gosh.
so
Okay.
all of that lineage that was from our mothers and their mitochondria, and mitochondria are actually very fascinating little individual. They have their own genome. They are their own species that we cannot survive without. We absolutely will die if our mitochondria die, and vice versa. When we die, our mitochondria die. So the mitochondria are actually the powerhouses. When you look at, from a scientific standpoint, you look at the Krebs cycle of energy production. For every 1 unit in, you get 37 units of energy out.
Wow.
And so when your mitochondria are working properly, you have optimal health and well-being.
Yeah.
Now, if they're programmed from trauma by your mother and they've picked up that trauma, they're not going to function nearly as effectively, and subsequently neither are you.
That's right.
As an individual. The other thing about mitochondria, and this is what my team was telling me, it's like, no. Yes, they are their own little organisms, and their genome, we have 46 genes. They have, it's in my book. Anyway, they said mitochondria are the energetic interface for spirit, because it's an energy producing system. It's how spirit energetically embodies in every cell of our being. Every single cell. Without that interface, we don't have a physical and spiritual connection. And the mitochondria provide all of that interface for us. So that was a big turning point for some reason. But the more I've gotten to understand mitochondria and mitochondrial disease, that's now finally really being studied in everything from diabetes to cancer to everything.
Yeah.
I'm realizing more and more how absolutely vital it was to have that as part of this clearing process, because they need our support. They are us. They are part of us, and we are part of them. And again, that synergistic connection that we have with and as them is about our life. It's about our well-being. It's about everything about us.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Thank you for explaining that. I find it interesting how perhaps the more we have it, And to the flip side of that, those who don't have as much shifts their level of consciousness, but also shifts their level of compassion and love for self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's that compassion that allows understanding, that celebrates diversity. And it's the diversity that makes us strong.
Mm.
We
Mm.
require diversity in everything that we do. Sameness is being celebrated, and it's the one thing that will end up being our destruction unless we can embrace all levels of diversity. And it doesn't mean we have to be something that we're not aligned to.
Sure.
But when you look at nature, there are literally millions and millions of different species of flowers and birds and insects and plants. And without that diversity and that biodiversity, our planet won't survive.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
our planet is also taking its clues from us, and we're taking our clues from the planet
Yes.
on what diversity looks like and
Right.
how important it is.
Right. That almost feels like the dividing of the cells. So you get into sacred geometry, right?
Mm-hmm.
The dividing of all the cells and how that division is being amplified and being elevated
Mm-hmm.
because of the frequency that we have access to now versus 5, 6 centuries ago, even.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And our understanding of how intricately involved, not just from a physical standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint with nature, will either support us or destroy us. And
Right.
I think my sense is that as we embody the greater fullness of who we are, it allows a greater connection with nature and with the planet. And
Yeah.
the planet is mostly self-healing as long as we don't continue to damage her.
Which is indicative of us doing it to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Because that's ultimately it. That's that tipping point. That's that scale of not only seeing the Schumann resonance rise over
Mm-hmm.
the last 5 years for least,
Yeah.
but seeing people stepping into their own light, into their own purpose, and into that, I want more than this commercialization of what life really looks like.
Yes, absolutely. And I think instinctively, more and more people are recognizing the discomfort they feel, but they're not sure why,
Yeah,
because they've been so entrained,
that's right.
brainwashed, I'm not sure what the correct word is, into believing that things are going to fix that empty hole that
Yeah,
exists in all of us. And that's not the truth. The
no,
truth is, when we understand who we are, those other material things are just, they don't have nearly the importance.
right.
And we don't have to be in conflict for resources when we have our own inner resources intact.
That's right. But intact is the optimal word
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we have so much influence from external resources that we give credence to because we've been
Absolutely.
conditioned to do that.
Well, let's be very clear. Advertising has been a brilliant success since the 40s and 50s. We
Yeah,
must have the designer clothes and car and, McMansion and blah,
that's
blah,
right.
blah.
Yeah.
All of the bling. We got to have it all. And,
Yes.
do we
Yeah.
really? Does it
Yeah.
make us happier? Maybe for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then what? And then there's more need. There's more angst. There's more, ooh, something's missing. And
Exactly.
what's funny about me, again, I'll share a brief
Mm-hmm.
story, is
Mm-hmm.
I find that when I'm out of balance, I want to get online and start shopping. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, hold on just a
That's
minute.
interesting. Well done.
I came to that conclusion about a month or so ago, and I thought, wow,
Mm.
it's an addiction. It's a
Mm.
quick fix to not feeling secure or safe inside, and that something may or may not satisfy that for very long. I thought, oh, so what if I worked on how I really feel inside first? Then does it, if I need or want that thing, then I'll go get it. And what I found is I quit spending by about 90%.
That's massive. They're big numbers. Wow,
Yeah.
Michelle.
It was a huge awareness for me.
Yeah, I could get into all kinds of stuff just on that. Oof.
Again, another podcast.
It really is. It really is an additional conversation. And as we kind of wrap up this, I want to offer you the space to share with listeners an opportunity of, be it they work with you, but really what's next for Michelle in all you offer and all you do, and maybe your own evolutionary growth and expansion. What's next?
Oh gosh. Yeah, thank you for asking. I do have a gift for your community.
Thank you.
www.quantum, QUANTUM, soul, SOUL, clearing, CLEARING.com / corporate gift. And what you get with this is you get a human design reading. I can show you where your 3 most prominent blocks are. And as we move that, it shifts and changes how you show up in the world. There's also a meditation, connecting with your inner power center that's designed to activate you and to give you the tools to help you find that inner peaceful center. Beautiful. So the combination is really powerful, and it's limited to some degree because of my calendar space. Sure. So, whoever would like to connect with me, I would love to connect with you too, because nobody comes to me unless they're ready for some really profound change. And
that's what we know. That's what we know for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I will put those details into the show notes as well, so people don't have to be scrambling. So they'll be in the notes. And thank you for offering that for the listeners.
Gosh,
I appreciate it.
It truly is my joy. It really is.
It really
I love the work that I do, and I love your community, and I absolutely adore you. So
likewise.
You're awfully special, lady.
I know. Right back at you. Right back at you. I am so grateful to you, Michelle, for taking the time, your energy and resources and all the bits in between, but sharing your vulnerable story so it can be relatable to others who are perhaps seeking resolve in their own life, but also seeking support to bring their own gifts online, because I think that there are many, many, many more people out there who are maybe seeking a little bit more guidance and a little more support in what to do with these gifts that they have as their awareness, be it for themselves or be it for their children.
Absolutely. I agree. And as we step into the truth and the power of who we are, it also activates and gives our children and our grandchildren permission in a different way to step up and be who they really are.
Absolutely. We got to hold that space. And I honor you for doing that. And I'm grateful for you on the show today. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I love you dearly, lady.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm Naranjan, and you've been listening to Master of Your Crafts podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and join me next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.